Hi everyone, and welcome to the Double Stuff Podcast, where we're double the host, double the topics, and double the fun. And I'm Charity.
And I'm Sarah.
And once again, for today's special guest, we are continuing our tradition of Christmas episodes with our other sister, the other one we talked about.
The third one.
Little sis. Like Little Bill.
I was going to say like Little Bill.
Little sis.
Now that we are in the December months, we are going to continue talking about Christmas. But we're going to be a little specific here. We mentioned before that we live here in Wichita, Kansas. And so we're going to talk about Wichita-specific Christmas traditions or things that we like to do. I know one of the big things, which we actually missed it this year because I got the date wrong and I think you fell asleep, but they always do the Christmas tree lighting in Bradley Fair. And then we usually end it, we usually do Coco Dolce, there's hot chocolate and stuff. So that's a big tradition that we do.
We'll still be able to go there and enjoy it, but yeah, we weren't there for the initial countdown.
Well, I
want
to unplug the tree and then plug it back in. I want my own. I want my own tree lighting because I missed it. But normally during the tree lighting day, they'll have kids performing and there's music. Bradley Fair is usually pretty packed.
It's full of humans and cars and everywhere.
What we normally do, we'll get there kind of early. We'll hang out at Barnes & Noble for a bit, kind of kill some time / buy a book because you don't want to be one of those loitering people that don't buy anything. But then we'll find a spot within Bradley Fair that we like to hang out in. And then we'll eventually mosey on over to Healing Waters, which is where the tree is usually.
Yeah, and there's a fountain over there too, so it's all done up, all done in Christmas lights and everything. Just the whole Bradley Fair area. They usually do that whole place up in lights, and you see it from across the river. It's really pretty.
Now, Christy, you used to work in the Bradley Fair. Did you work there during the Christmas season?
I worked right in Healing Waters, right in front of that tree.
Yeah, so did a lot of people kind of come in? I know usually around that time people are looking for a bathroom.
Yeah.
We did have some people come in and look for a bathroom, and I was like, sorry, just for customers, you know. But by that time, I think they actually tried to close or lock the doors a little bit earlier that night or something, or we were closed by before they actually did the lighting, so we didn't have to worry about that. But the whole time, the week leading up to it, we saw them drag the whole tree and block off part of our entrance, and they actually brought some of the tree in little sections. I didn't even know. I thought it was just one big tree, but
it's a real tree.
It is a real tree. It is a real tree, but somehow it wasn't all together. I don't know.
I didn't know. Okay, so that's inside information. I didn't even know that.
Neither did I.
It was weird. Either the tree was whole, and then they had this whole other little contraption to keep it in that made it seem like it was a whole separate thing. But whatever it was to keep the tree together was its whole.
I wonder if that's in case it gets really windy and the tree.
Oh, because you would want the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't want swaying in the wind. So maybe they did cut it in 2 different pieces to keep it sturdy. In case it's, because Kansas does get pretty windy at times.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I never knew that they came in segments. I always thought it was just one gigantic
I could be
tree.
wrong, because I was looking at it through the window from
my desk. You had a front row seat.
I was pretty sure I saw part of the tree.
Okay.
And the other part down.
So I was today years old when I found out that the Healing Waters Christmas tree.
You weren't supposed to tell that part.
Pay no attention to the man behind the tree.
Watch, I was just tripping. That was just a dream the whole time.
Yeah.
There is no tree.
There's no tree.
I was never at Healing Waters.
What's a Bradley Fair?
Bradley Fair is pretty fun with the Christmas tree lighting and the carriage rides. Coco Dolce is, like I said, very conveniently close by. Oh, and there's bake sale over there now, so you can
bake sales there now.
You can get a lot of Christmas treats over there now.
Yeah, and I think going to a different location. I think over in Old Town area they do a Christmas tree lighting over there too.
Union Station.
Well, Union Station.
Union Station Christmas tree lighting as
well.
But
I mean, Old Town, near where City Arts is, and kind of in that area.
Yeah.
Or either that, or it's over near Navsker Park, which is not really Old Town, but it's kind of over there. Maybe it's more on Douglas.
There's actually multiple tree lightings if you were to look it up, look on Facebook events, because a lot of churches now will do a tree lighting, and that's kind of like an open house to get people to come, and there's usually hot chocolate and maybe someone playing Santa or whatever. So tree lightings in general are usually pretty fun. Now, something else is not necessarily related to Christmas, but it does happen in the November, December months, is wild lights at the zoo, at Sedgwick County Zoo.
Yeah, they started doing that. When they started doing that, about 3 years ago, something like that. It's pretty recent.
Recent-ish. I mean, I think we've gone each time that they've had it.
That's a nice thing, because Wichita didn't used to do that for a long time, but it's just pretty, just going down the trails. I mean, you can enjoy the animals at the zoo, but if you just go like a certain little like walking trail, they have a bunch of really cool lit up, I'm not necessarily animatronics, but some of them do move.
Some of them either move or, I don't know what you call it, loosely fitted, so that like it's like a windmill thing. So I think one year they had some flowers, and like the flower petals could move if the wind blew them. So it is really cool. We haven't gone this year. We do plan to go. There is a Alice in Wonderland sort of theme this year. So that's really, really cool. Last year they had sort of like an Asian lantern sort of set up.
I'm sorry, they had like a lot of pandas everywhere, right?
They did have pandas actually. But there was one section where, and I don't know what it's called, and I know people are probably like, you should know this, but it looks like the birthday signs or whatever. So like they had these different animals.
Yeah.
And so if your birthday was in October, you were a monkey or something. Like it had
like
to do
the
with
year of the monkey or whatever. So,
yeah, it was something like that. So those are really cool. But I'm looking forward to doing it this year. Now, you guys have probably done this, or at least heard of it, because I remember when we were working at Ferris Wheel, there would be people who would do the Christmas tree, or not, sorry, the Christmas light path. And they would drive around, look at the Christmas lights in certain neighborhoods. Have you guys done that?
It's honestly, it's been a while since, because we used to do that a lot as kids. That was like a family tradition where we would just all get in a car and we would just drive around certain neighborhoods, and some of those houses would just be completely done up in lights. And for the past few Christmases, I've wanted to do that, and just time has gotten away from me, but I would like to do that this year, just kind of drive around. I know there's actually specific points, like Ability Point or whatever.
I think it's on the Visit Wichita website. So if you've never been to Wichita, go to Visit Wichita and look online, and they usually have like a path or a map that shows which houses you should go to, because some of them have music
that go to the beat of
the lights. So like you pull up, there's instructions to turn on like a certain radio station, and it'll play the songs that the house has picked, and so that's really cool. Now, Christy, I know there's a couple ladies that would come into Ferris Wheel each year, because they would do like a limo. Remember that?
Ooh.
Because they would come into Ferris Wheel and they would say, "Oh, I want to get some snacks for our Christmas limo drive," and they would do the path.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Well, I mean, there were some that would come. Yeah, that was like their tradition to do. I know a lot of times at Ferris Wheel, and I never had a chance to participate, but there'd be people that would buy all kinds of candy because they would do gingerbread building contests. And so they would buy all the sour balls, or they would get all the pecans or gumdrops. Yeah, and they would just buy, I don't know how much of it, because it sounded like they were planning on making like a big one, not like just a little kit, but it would be part of like an actual competition. So that would have been cool to see, because some of those, they go all out, do like Harry Potter stuff, and like it is full on elaborate.
Now we went to, what was that, Cake Stuff last year? There's a shop.
That was 3 years ago.
3 years ago? Okay, yeah. Time is obviously not relevant at this point, but we did our second try at a gingerbread house, which was interesting. But have you done a gingerbread house? You weren't with us, Christy, I don't think.
I've done one. It was with graham crackers, though.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that still counts. It's like a practice.
You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to make anything.
It's funny. We're a very artistic family, but I feel like we fail in terms of candy architecture.
We can sure eat it.
But I will say we at least go elaborate with our Christmas cookies. So
yeah,
that's true. I think most people around the world at some point will make Christmas cookies, and Christy usually, she does them up nice.
Yeah, we talked about that on our episodes last year. So if you guys want to re-listen to the episodes that me, Charity, and Christy did together, I'm trying to remember the numbers of them, but one was Burn the Cranberry Sauce, which was the Thanksgiving episode, and then I think it was called like 60s cookies, or drawing 60s cookies, or something like that, and that was the Christmas one that we were talking about Christy making cookies and how we decorate decorate the tree, which at this point we have already decorated. The tree's been up for a while. But yeah, you get to find out more about our harmonized traditions, which is always fun.
Now, I know we're currently talking about the holidays, and I know we're talking about Wichita-specific stuff. However, I want to move just a tiny bit past Christmas because I've already started hearing it. I've started seeing it. We've got New Year's resolution season coming up.
Oh, yeah. This is my year. This is my year. I'm gonna do it this year.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that because the month is changing and there's a magic new number on the end of the year, it's like, oh, this is the year I'm gonna do the thing. So now, do you guys have feelings about that? How do you guys feel about New Year's resolutions? Because I know it's not just Wichita. There are people all over the country, all over the world, that once January comes,
2024 will strive for more.
Yeah. there usually is some sort of rhyming theme for each year. So
that usually has to rhyme with weight loss, getting their act together, not drinking as much or whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's dry January, which
I mean after you've completely
partied
trashed yourself.
Yeah, for New Year's. But see, that's what everybody says. You know, you drank and everything on New Year's Eve. You have a horrible hangover on New Year's Day. And you're like, I'll never drink again. Dry January, and then like January 5th comes up. Well, so much for that.
Yeah. Chugga.
So, a message to, because most of our listeners are from Wichita. Do we have any advice for our listeners about New Year's resolutions, or maybe just trashing them this year?
Chris is just like, don't. This has been a public service announcement.
Well, and Christy, since she's involved in training and coaching and nutrition and stuff, have you had a lot of people who are like, I'm going to get healthy and fit this year? Like, what do you normally tell them around this time?
I'll be like, bro, you need to start now and not wait until the 2 months from now.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Like, here's the deal. Like, what I do is I try to be better, like, the weeks coming up. I worked out, got some extra cardio in, burned some extra calories because I'm going to eat some more tomorrow.
Yep.
So I was like, hey, you can make up for it. But then the next day,
back to it.
Dwindle down on the leftovers. You can still eat a little leftovers, but don't go crazy. After it's out of the house, you don't have to pig out in the middle of the month until Christmas is over.
It's like, hold off until the 24th, 25th.
Now,
and then you gotta hold off, and then New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Well, everybody always makes excuses. It's like, well, Cindy always baking stuff and bringing it to the office, and so like she always bringing cookies, and so I gotta eat it. No, you don't. You stay in your cubicle, get your work done. Like, go to the bathroom, drink some water.
Now around this time, there's a lot of parties. There's a lot of get-togethers and office parties and family, coworkers, all that
school
stuff.
Yeah.
Now something that I have heard is that if you're going to be invited to a party where there is food or booze or whatever, expensive sweets, it's like eat before you go, and that way when you get to the party, you're not like food, or you're not eating as if you've never seen a slice of bread before in your life. Is that good advice?
Well, 100% I do that, but that's also because half the time I don't get fed enough.
I was like, you eat some now, and then you eat just as much when you get there.
And then you realize you only can get 2 slices, and you had to eat all day.
Well, and I know people with allergies do that too, because if they, there's not a vegan option, or there's not gluten-free option, and so they have to eat before going.
I guess it's just all in all just willpower, to be honest, because
I think it's willpower / discipline.
Planning ahead,
because the willpower will taper off, because you're going to lose that motivation.
No, both will and the power are gone.
But at some point, that discipline has to kick in.
I know in the past, I've always kind of had issues with it. Now, I've come a long way since in terms of having self-control over food. Also, seeing seeing how people live.
And looking at my 600-pound life will help you out.
I mean...
That's one of those
people
do that because it's like, well, at least I'm not
I'm not that
bad. So it's like, okay, you're not 600, but you're 599. That's not supposed to make you feel better.
Yeah.
Like, turn off the TV.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Don't compare. Just live your life.
well, and a lot of times, and I'm not saying everybody's like this, so take this however you want, but sometimes we as a family, if we go to certain people's houses, we know how they live, and sometimes we're like, maybe don't eat that because we know they're not the cleanest of people. So I would say sometimes knowing that my appetite's kind of already gone, so I'm like, it looks good, but I just can't eat it.
Even in the middle of all that, if we go back to 2020 when everybody was like, no germs, oh my god, like everybody was still there, like, hey, eat out, eat local, support local, go to all your restaurants. And I was like, wait, aren't the people that are cooking your food the one that could be exposed to COVID, so that you're gonna go eat and support local? So like apparently those germs don't count. And so it's like I mean, after a point, y'all, like
Yeah, how about New Year's resolution hand washing? Let's add that into the list.
New Year's hygiene.
Now, I'm looking at a list of New Year's resolutions, and most of them are the typical ones for 2023. We already talked about eating healthy, exercising, losing weight. Saving money is one of them. Now, here's an interesting one. Now, one of these says their New Year's resolution is to reduce stress while on the job. Now, that is a very interesting one.
I guess it depends on the job.
Well, it depends on the job, but like, is the stress something you can control? Because if someone's giving you an excessive workload, you can't tell your boss, well, my New Year's resolution is to not work this year. Like, you can't just say that.
Yeah.
So if you have a stressful job, which a lot of people do, how would you reduce stress on the job? What's a good, piece of advice for that?
I don't think, sometimes it's like, you can't necessarily reduce the stress on the job, but you can reduce your bad responses to the situation.
Okay.
So, because I mean, think about it. If I'm a first responder, no matter what, like how much like Zen yoga I do and all this stuff, I'm going to like a car wreck and there's someone that's like huge trauma. That's like, oh no, it's fine. I'll just breathe through that. You can't just brush that off. But what you can do is after the fact, what are you doing to take care of yourself after the fact?
How do you decompress? So that would also be like knowing what your limits are emotionally and mentally. Also, embracing that you can't just go along without any sort of help or any sort of intervention. Just understanding that at some point, whether it's, a couple times a month, you check in with somebody, I think that is something that people need to know what their limit is.
Well, maybe that's like, maybe people are mistaking the lessening the stress with decompress. So that's probably what they need to do more is if they have, just figure out ways to settle themselves down afterwards. I can't say that's better. I mean, I guess that's a different alternative than just taking deep breaths or something.
Get some
I don't
help,
know.
get some support behind you, go work out, even just like changing your music. You can go classical music and try to like calm your mind, or if you're just going heavy metal just to try to like block out the sound, maybe that'll kind of like get you razzed up or whatever, but at the same time, that's not going to help you like.
It's not going to help settle down at all. Because then you just start yelling and screaming.
And I know, to kind of piggyback off of that, something that people do end up doing is when they find that their life is not, maybe not completely out of control, but when they find that there are things in their life that they can't control and that's kind of spiraling a little bit, they're able to really focus on the things that they can control. So you might be under a lot of pressure, but you can control what you eat. You can control when you go to bed. You can control the amount of social media and news that you intake, which is huge. Because I don't think even people realize how much that could sometimes be harmful, seeing negative comments and negative news reports and, focusing on that, all that screen time. So I think when people are able to control the things that they can control, that at least helps a little bit. It doesn't fix the problem, but, mentally, there's a bit of satisfaction in knowing that I may not be able to handle this right now, but I can at least handle this part of my life.
I think that's a big one.
No, and you also have, in this season, there's the winter, everybody. No, I'm not saying that it's not real, but a lot of people lean on the fact of like, oh, I have seasonal depression during the winter because it gets dark early and it's cold and I'm a summer person. And it's like, well, okay, so winter comes around this time every year. We're a big boy. We're 30 years old. Like, so at some point,
Yeah.
you can't keep letting the season tell you who you are and what you need to be. Like, and I'm not saying that it's not real, because it is a real thing. Like, if you're not getting your vitamin D, if you do like your sun and all that stuff, that like, that doesn't affect you. Like, it getting darker outside affects me and makes me feel tired earlier, you know. But it's like, what can you do? Are there different people you need to be with? Is there a different thing you need to do, like work out, like take some vitamin D, like even just getting a little bit more light, kind of like.
I was gonna
you.
say, I've heard people, there's different light bulbs that you can put in your house
Oh,
that are a little bit brighter. They're not, because some light bulbs are white and some are yellow.
Kind of yellowish
So
tint,
yeah, so getting ones that are like maybe brighter white will, you know, liven up your house a little bit and make it less gloomy. And you can get, I mean, I don't know if you want to get blackout curtains, but you can get curtains that, you know, to where you don't have to see the outside as much. I've also heard of lots of people, if you don't want live plants in your house, lots of people do like house plants, but you can get pictures that have natural greenery looking to them, you know, different color things. You can get the little, little waterfall features. So you can get different things to bring the outside in during those months. I have heard of people doing that with some success. So any final thoughts? I know we kind of started talking about Wichita Christmas specifics to New Year's resolution. Any final thoughts that you guys want to say to end us out?
I think, and I know it sounds really superficial, but sometimes just going to see Christmas lights is just so fun. And you can't help but smile when you see stuff like that.
Well, people were doing that during lockdown, during COVID. People put up their Christmas decorations.
Very
really early.
Yeah. And, you know, people were dressing up as Santa and, you know, just trying to generally have a good time. If you are experiencing seasonal depression, we already talked about getting help, but laughter is a huge thing.
Oh, we always try to do stuff funny.
So you could start off by listening to whatever episode you want of the Double Stuff podcast, because
well, nice charity.
at some point we're always laughing at something stupid. We're really good at finding the joy and the humor in some of the most mundane
random
topics.
stuff. Yeah. So, you know, from sideburns to sandwiches, I used to be my little thing about talking about all the random topics. So why would this be any exception? Plus, you have the random Harmon sisters to hopefully add some more humor.
Yes,
to that.
we're always here for a good time, for a good laugh. Also, shameless plug, on our other page, We Harmon Sisters, we will often post random things about our adventures around town here in Wichita. And so that's always a lot of fun too. So if you need a laugh, come see us. Most likely we're already laughing anyway and you can join in.
So with that being said, just you can binge listen to all of our episodes. We have almost, I guess I can say it, we have almost 200 episodes that you can listen to at this point. So check us out at doublestuffpod.com. We're available on social media. So Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Double Stuff Podcast, and of course on Twitter X at Double Stuff P, and that's the letter P.